The following video was recorded late at night, somewhere inside a home. A woman hears what sounds like her daughter calling out from the dark. A small voice, distressed, coming from somewhere it shouldn't be. She approaches a low rectangular opening at the base of the wall, the kind of gap that sits flush with the baseboard and leads somewhere you'd never want to go. The family dog is already there, rigid, barking at whatever the darkness is hiding. Watch.
Mom, please help me.
Leah, how did you get down there? You were supposed to be.
Oh my God.
The child's voice, calling out, "Mom, please help me," is chilling enough on its own. But what appears in that opening for barely a fraction of a second is something else entirely. A pale, elongated face with hollow black eyes and no visible features beyond a thin, horizontal slit where a mouth should be. It's there, and then it's gone. The dog doesn't move. Many who've seen this clip point out that whatever that face belongs to, it doesn't look like anything human, and it wasn't calling for help. You decide what was really down there. The following video was captured on a home baby monitor, and the backstory behind it is what makes it so hard to watch without feeling something. A 15-month-old girl is alone in her crib in the middle of the night, and by all appearances, she's content, rolling around, giggling, kicking her legs, the way toddlers do when they've decided sleep isn't happening just yet. But her mother shared this footage with a detail that changes everything about how you watch it. In 2017, her 3-year-old daughter Jada passed away. This is her younger sister. Listen closely. Twice during that footage, once around 50 seconds and again near the 2-minute mark, the baby says a name. It's muffled the first time, but the second time it's clear enough to stop you cold. Jada. She's 15 months old, playing alone in a dark room saying her dead sister's name. Some believe very young children exist in a kind of in-between state, not yet fully closed off from whatever's on the other side, still soft to presences that adults can no longer sense. Others think it's coincidence, the random babbling of a toddler landing on a sound that resembles a name. But then the clip ends the way it does. That sudden, piercing scream. Out of nowhere, no visible trigger, cutting off just as abruptly as it started. Whatever she was laughing with a moment before, something about it changed. And her mother has to live with not knowing what that was. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. In the following clip, a man has been systematically documenting some of the strangest and most unsettling activity he's ever encountered. But before we get there, the first piece of footage wasn't captured by him at all. It came from a backyard security camera rolling silently at just after midnight. Watch. The infrared footage catches something hard to explain, a white ball that seems to materialize out of nowhere on the grass, rolling slightly before coming to rest, followed moments later by a single brilliant flash of light that floods the entire yard for a fraction of a second, and then, in the zoomed-in section, what appears to be a dark, humanoid figure moving between the sheds in the background, passing behind a post and disappearing. There's no audio, no wind, no person visible before or after. Some viewers think the flash and the figure are connected, that the light preceded something's arrival, almost like a signal. Others believe what the camera picked up was simply a person cutting through the yard and the ball was already there. But the figure's movement, the way it seems to drift rather than walk, has led a number of people to attach the term shadow person to it, a label used in paranormal communities to describe dark, human-shaped presences that appear on camera but don't behave like living people, moving without sound, without weight, and without any clear origin or destination. Now, shifting to the daytime, a man sitting on his covered porch, dressed casually, wearing blue gloves, just getting some air after cleaning the house, had already set up security cameras around the property. He wasn't expecting anything. Watch.
Something like that has never happened before. And the funny thing is that I was out here last night. I was on a Discord call with a couple of my people, a couple of my followers, and I showed them the inside of the house from sitting out here. And it was so dark inside there because I didn't have any lights on or anything like that. And my heart is racing right now. Oh my God, I got chills. It's like 80 degrees and I have full body chills. It's way too early in the morning for this.
The porch camera captures a white door with a glass pane violently swinging open on its own before slamming shut, and the man is visibly startled, sitting up immediately and moving toward it to investigate. He comes back to the camera shaken, hand on his chest, talking about full body chills despite it being around 80 degrees outside. He says something like that has never happened before. The door showed no signs of a breeze or mechanical failure when he checked it. Skeptics will point to air pressure differentials or loose hinges, but the force of the swing, how hard it hit the wall, how decisively it shut, makes that harder to dismiss than it sounds. Now this next footage is where things get genuinely terrifying, and it all takes place inside what appears to be a hospital on the 4th floor at night. The man returns to a housekeeping closet where he's had previous experiences. He's heard breathing here before, seen things he can't explain, and this time he sets his phone on the doorframe to record the dark room while he walks away. Watch.
Oh, the phone moved. And the door was locked. Turn it back on. Sorry, it's hot in here. Just had to run across the 5th floor. I swear I just heard voices down there. I have chills. That sound like somebody breathing heavy. Now we out of here. We out.
No one was there, yet the phone moved like someone kicked it. And when he comes back to retrieve it, the door, which he left unlocked, is now locked from the inside, forcing him to use a key to get back in. He finds the phone on the floor. Then, as he walks down the hallway trying to compose himself, a deep, disembodied breath, close, unmistakable, like someone directly beside him, freezes him in place. He says, "That sound like somebody breathing heavy," and leaves immediately. 4 separate events, escalating in aggression. That pattern, from a single loud bang to a locked door to direct auditory contact, is what investigators sometimes call progressive phenomena, where a presence appears to test boundaries before making itself known more directly. It didn't stop there. On a separate visit, also at 3 a.m. on the 4th floor, he returns to the same housekeeping closet, turns off the light, and slides his phone under the door to record what's inside. Listen closely.
So, this is housekeeping, just a USSC. Oh, it's open. I thought it was locked. So they said what you do is turn off the light and then just wait. Well, I'm not about to stand in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the light and then slap my phone on the door and see what happens. So here we go. Light off. And going under. Now tell me if y'all see or hear anything. I ain't going in there. Anything?
A deep, raspy, rhythmic breathing fills the recording from the dark gap under the door. Guttural, unnatural, consistent, while he stands just outside, apparently unaware it's even happening. On the 5th floor of the same building, he wanders into an empty hospital room, clearly uneasy, saying the floor makes him feel uncomfortable every time he's up there. He checks the room, checks the bathroom, and then moves back into the corridor, completely alone. And then this happened.
This floor makes me feel uneasy all the time. I never feel good up here. So you'll see, nobody's back there. It's just me. I could have sworn I heard something. I'm entirely sure. What the? Now, y'all heard that. I'm gonna show you. So, look. When you move the handle, that handle doesn't move. This handle, it locks. Okay? So, and an opening. That sound came from inside there, and I immediately opened the door. You need to use your key card in order to get in. Oh boy.
As he approaches a closed supply room door, the lever handle rattles violently for several seconds, loud and aggressive, as if something on the other side is trying to get out. He opens it with his keycard and the room is completely empty. He then takes the time to demonstrate the locking mechanism, showing that the interior handle doesn't operate the latch, that the exterior lever locks, and that you need a keycard to get back in. The sound came from inside a room that couldn't have been opened from the inside. No other explanation holds. For this last clip, he decides to go back into the housekeeping closet on the 4th floor one more time. This time stepping inside with the camera and staying in the room himself, something a viewer had asked him to do. He shows the small empty space, confirms he's alone, and then turns the light off. Listen closely.
Alright, so back up here on the 4th floor, yet again. Y'all did not like me leaving y'all in the thing yesterday, but today I am going to take the advice of one of viewers, and I'm going in there with y'all. See what happens. Here we go. All right, so I'm in the housekeeping closet. You can see it's just me. What's in here? Okay. Now somebody asked me to set this thing up on the desk, I can't do that because the logo for the company I work for is not supposed to be in the video. So this is the most you're gonna get. But I showed you the whole room. There are no cuts. Here we go. I'm shaking. Here we go. Okay. There's a door there. Nothing up there. You can see, well, you can't really see, but you get what I'm saying. I'm talking so that way you can hear that. What the hell?
In the total darkness, while he's still talking, two clear and distinct chiming sounds ring out. Melodic, high-pitched, like a small bell or a music box, with no visible source anywhere in the room. He turns the light back on immediately, wide-eyed and breathing hard. A bell-like sound appearing in a locked, empty room at night doesn't fit any obvious explanation. And for viewers familiar with accounts of intelligent haunting behavior, that kind of auditory detail, specific, musical, deliberate, is exactly the type of phenomenon that gets harder to wave away the more you think about it. This man keeps returning to this building, to this floor, to this same closet, and each time the activity seems to acknowledge him more directly. What exactly is in that room, and why does it seem to know when he's there? Like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. He's been back multiple times now, and the pattern hasn't broken. It's only gotten closer. The following video was recorded by a woman who owns property in the Appalachian Mountains. 200 acres of dense forest, a gravel driveway, a pond, and, as she would eventually discover, an unmarked cemetery sitting quietly on the land. She'd been checking her security cameras periodically, the way most people do, just to see what passes through. She wasn't looking for anything unusual, but what she found when she reviewed the footage changed the way she thinks about the property entirely. Watch.
When we found out that there was a cemetery on the property, every time I get there, I walk up by myself and I say a prayer. After that, once I came back home and checked the camera, this is what I saw. I wasn't really sure what it was. I'm like, it looks like an old man with like carrying a staff with like a beard or something. And I started digging, and what the theory that I came up with was that it was Saint Michael leading these souls to heaven. It sent it to my mom, and she said, there's more people around him. And then she said, if you look at the very last like second, it like turns as if it's gonna go up that trail. And that's where the cemetery is up that trail. Because originally we thought, okay, this land is haunted for sure. Like, there's some bad stuff on this property. I'm starting to lean away from the property being haunted from something evil to being something that's positive.
What the camera captured was a narrow vertical column of reddish-orange light near the tree line, visible in daylight, standing apart from the surrounding shadows in a way she says she's never seen before or since. She acknowledges it could be a sun glare, but insists the shape was different this time. More structured, more deliberate. After slowing it down and zooming in, she began to see something that resembled a tall figure, possibly with a beard, possibly carrying a staff. She sent it to her mother, who pointed out what she thought were additional shapes surrounding it. Her theory, the one she kept coming back to, was Saint Michael, the archangel traditionally depicted as a guardian of souls, leading the dead. The trail right there in the footage leads directly up to a cemetery on the property, and she says if you watch the very last moment of the clip, the anomaly appears to turn as if moving toward that trail. Whether you think it's a light artifact or something else entirely, the location of it is difficult to dismiss. So what do you think that was? That question only deepened the more she began connecting the other strange events happening on the same property. In the months before she even knew there was a cemetery on her land, a fire broke out near one of the cabins and spread up the hill in a path that no one could fully explain. Take a look.
Really, get out of there. Really, get out of there.
A tree stump in that area kept reigniting on its own, still smoldering more than 12 hours after firefighters had completely extinguished everything else. And then the cabin closest to that spot flooded without any clear cause. She has footage of the water valve taken shortly before the flood, showing it clearly in the closed position, and yet the cabin still filled with water. When her cousin later discovered, almost by accident through a map app on her phone, that there was an unmarked cemetery sitting in that exact location, the precise spot where the fire started, the precise spot in front of the cabin that flooded, the whole sequence stopped feeling like a coincidence. The Appalachian Mountains carry one of the oldest and deepest traditions of land-based folklore in North America, a blend of Scotch, Irish, and Cherokee belief, where the idea that the dead can make themselves known to the living is not treated as superstition, but as fact. Some viewers familiar with that tradition think whatever is buried there was trying to get her attention, using the fire and the flood as signals rather than threats. Others think it's an extraordinary run of coincidence, but the cemetery's real, the water valve footage is real, and the stump was still burning long after it had any reason to be. Then she checked the security camera that covers the long gravel driveway and the yard, and what she found in the still images gave her the clearest picture yet of something that shouldn't be there. Watch closely.
What's that? Anybody with a Ring camera understands that if your camera picks up motion, it starts recording. Otherwise, it just takes a picture every minute. And this was captured in one of the pictures. It didn't record. To get an idea, this is the whole view from that camera. This is the road. This is the driveway. That you can either go up past there or you can come this way. Okay, so there's the driveway road. There's a gate right there. All along here on the other sides of the pond are these huge ditches that if you were to stand in them, they'd be over your head. Okay, so we get a layout. This tree, road, driveway. This is a deer in the same spot. And if you look over there, you can see the camera caught it, and the camera was recording that deer running from over there to over here. Okay, it was going this way. Camera caught it. You can see in the bottom corner, it says motion detected, that deer. Here is where it caught a car. You can see the car at the end of the driveway. See a vehicle. It caught it. It started recording, caught it. And now here is where you see it just pops up. And then it goes away. I'm scrolling with my finger. Here is where it caught deer at night in the same spot. The one on the left is in the same spot. At night, it caught it. Now I know what you're saying. Ring cameras capture weird stuff all the time. That's fine. I get it. Like the time I thought I saw a ghost in the yard. Right here. I thought that looked like a person. Not to mention the fact, if this was an actual person on a horse riding up my driveway, even if the camera didn't detect it, it would have still caught an image every so often of it walking up the driveway. There's no way it could have gotten over the gate, and there's no way that it could have gone in the creek to get onto the property. If you understood how deep this creek is, there's no way that horse could have gone down into the creek and then up and out again onto the property. It just doesn't make sense. Side note, we did discover that there is a cemetery located on our property. So many things have happened there that are just unexplainable, and yeah, I'll get into it some other time.
A single still image from the camera shows a pale, amorphous shape near the tree line. Two parts to it, a lower bulky form and a taller, narrower shape above, like something seated on an animal. The camera didn't detect motion and didn't record a clip. It just took its periodic still photograph and caught that shape standing there. And then, the next frame it was gone. Some viewers immediately called it a ghost horse, a term that shows up repeatedly in Appalachian folklore, where the spirits of animals are said to remain tied to land they once worked. Others weren't sure what to call it at all. By the time she came back to review her footage again weeks later, she'd found something new. And this time, the camera itself seemed to be part of the story. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. Watch.
So the footage of my neighbor going to the property, I watched it back after he left, and it sounded like women were yelling at him as he was pulling out of the driveway. So I messaged him and I said, hey, was there anyone yelling at you when you left? And he said, no. I slowed it down. After listening back, it sounds like several people yelling at him.
When she went back to pull the original clip, the footage had changed. The recording that previously showed minute-by-minute markers now displayed a single continuous bar that skipped from 9:30 in the morning directly to 4:30 in the afternoon, the ghost clip sitting right in that missing window, around noon. The data was just gone. And then she found the audio. A recording from the camera picked up two men talking outside. One of them saying goodbye to someone he called Pawpaw before leaving the property. Normal enough, but when she slowed it down, the voice dropped into something low and guttural that didn't sound like a slowed human voice anymore. She's since found death certificates and photographs for what she believes are 5 to 7 people buried on that land. Someone's ancestors, left in an unmarked cemetery that the property's current owners had no idea was there until a fire pointed directly at it. Whatever is on those 200 acres, it doesn't seem to be staying quiet. The following videos were all recorded inside the same home, by the same man, across what appears to be an ongoing series of disturbances. The kind that don't announce themselves all at once, but instead show up night after night, wearing you down slowly. He's been documenting everything, filming on his phone, speaking in Spanish to whoever might be watching later, making sure there's a record. On this particular night, he was eating tacos when the knocking started again. Not a casual tap, a persistent, rhythmic knock at the front door. He grabbed his phone mid-meal and started recording, saying quietly to the camera, "They're knocking, and I'm eating my tacos," followed by, "So you can see I'm not telling you lies. Watch." He opens the door to find no one there. The street empty, 2 red cars parked in the distance, nobody on the stoop. But when he turns back inside, something is lying on the tiled floor just inside the threshold. A long, pale, fibrous root-like object, dry and covered in white hair-like tendrils, almost skeletal in appearance. The door had been locked from the inside. That alone is worth sitting with. In many Latin American and Caribbean folk traditions, objects like that, dried roots, herbs, specific plant matter, left at someone's threshold aren't random. They're deliberate. Some call it brujeria, a broad Spanish language term for witchcraft or folk magic used across Mexico and Central America to describe the practice of placing objects with intention, to curse a home, to invite something in, or to mark a person, Whether you believe in that or not, the fact that something passed through a locked door is harder to explain away. That same night, it happened again. The sounds this time were different, not soft knocking, but rapid, sharp snapping, almost mechanical, about 2 per second, filling the room before stopping the moment he touched the locks. Watch. When he opens the door, there's another object on the doormat. A long, dry stick or vine, brittle and light brown, lying across the mat like it had been placed there carefully. 2 different sounds, 2 different objects, the same locked door, the same night. It didn't stop there. Later, he woke up to find the shower running on its own, for the 2nd time. He said so himself on camera. "This is the 2nd time it makes me get up to turn off the shower." He walked to the bathroom in the dark, turned off the water, and stepped back into the hallway. Watch.
Esta es la segunda vez que hace que me levante a cerrar la regadera.
He closes the bathroom door, the house goes quiet and then, from somewhere down that dark hallway, a clear melodic tune begins to play. Simple, repetitive, the kind of sound you'd hear from a baby's mobile or a music box. No source visible, no one else in the hallway. Some viewers pointed out the combination of threshold objects and unseen sounds is consistent with what's sometimes described in folk magic traditions as an attempt to destabilize a household, to unsettle the people inside so something else can settle in. Others think the activity across all 3 clips points to something already present, using the objects as markers and the sounds as signals. But you be the judge. The following video was recorded inside a home that the family moved into not long ago. A deceased estate, meaning the previous owner passed away there, and the house itself still carries whatever that person left behind. Since moving in, their 3-year-old daughter has developed an imaginary friend, which on its own isn't unusual, except for the specific details this little girl has been sharing about who that friend is. Watch. She's seen here playing in the hallway, pushing herself backward in a pink toy stroller across the wooden floors, completely at ease, the way a child acts around someone familiar, someone she's comfortable with. It's ordinary childhood play on the surface. But the mother is the one who framed it, and according to her, what that little girl is doing isn't just playing alone. In clip 2, the mother films herself from the lower level of the house and walks through everything she's been told. Watch.
So I don't know what to do with this information. And she's 3. Like, this is the first time she's ever had an imaginary friend, and you'd think it would be like a fairy unicorn or something, but it's not. It's the most standard middle-aged man, and he sounds like a real dude, and I now think that I have to go back through births, deaths, and marriages and figure out what the name of the guy was that lived here, because if his name is Joe...
The imaginary friend has a name, Joe. He's described not as a fairy or a monster, as most childhood imaginary figures tend to be, but as a perfectly ordinary middle-aged man who likes working on his car, wears a red shirt and black gardening gloves, lives on the property, and has 2 children. And she already knows the family that sold her the house had 2 children. He's also described as having spent a lot of time in hospital, which, if the previous owner died, fits. The woman is genuinely shaken, not performing fear. Her nervous laughter and wide eyes give that away. What makes this harder to dismiss is the specificity. Kids invent imaginary friends all the time, but they tend toward the fantastical. A 3-year-old conjuring a middle-aged man who gardens, drives a car, and matches the known biographical details of the deceased owner is a different category altogether. Some believe young children are more perceptually open than adults, less filtered, less conditioned to dismiss what they sense, and that what looks like imaginative play may actually be something more literal. Others would argue the child absorbed fragments of overheard adult conversations and constructed a figure from them. The mother says she's planning to research the previous owner's name through public records, and if it comes back as Joe, she's made her decision. That question is still unanswered, and it's the one that keeps the story from closing. The following clip is about a man named Nick, who manages a yogurt store and, for a long time, dismissed the strange stories his staff kept telling him. Employees had complained about lights flickering, objects shifting when no one was nearby, and an uneasy feeling that only seemed to happen during closing hours. At first, Nick assumed there had to be logical explanations, faulty wiring, building issues, or simple human error. But eventually, he experienced the same thing. Watch.
Okay, I'm literally at work right now. I'm alone. That's my car. There is not one other car in the parking lot. Look, the freaking light's flickering from the reflection in the window. I don't know what's going on. I'm here alone, and this is what I deal with that I usually don't catch on camera. This is the light switch. Ready? This? Oh, I think I stopped it. Did I stop it? No, I didn't. I didn't stop it. I don't know what's going on, and this makes absolutely no sense. And now it stopped. Good. And ready? Here we go. Because that makes sense, right? This is what I deal with, and no one understands. And of course I'm here alone, and this is like a friggin' murder house. This is my security cameras. There's no one here, so I don't understand. Oh my god, Jesus Christ. Hello?
At first glance, many people assumed it was nothing more than electrical problems. After all, flickering lights in older buildings aren't uncommon, but power shortages don't explain everything, because moments later, a chair suddenly falls over on its own in the attic. Nick later revealed something even more unsettling. Before he started recording, he heard what sounded like a girl singing somewhere inside the building, and according to him, this wasn't the first time. Several employees had mentioned hearing the same thing, soft singing late at night, always when the store was nearly empty. There was also another detail that people couldn't ignore. The neighboring store right next to them had recently gone out of business. The space had been empty ever since. Dark, silent, unused, and yet some began to wonder if whatever energy lingered there had simply moved next door. At this point, people were curious, but not fully convinced. Many chose to wait for more evidence, and then it happened again. One evening, as Nick and his staff were preparing to leave, thinking the night had been quiet, the camera captured something else.
Okay guys, we were literally just about to leave my store when shit just started flickering again. This is the second time it's happened. My car's over there, and
I'm shaking right now.
okay, and her keys are in the fucking bag.
We need to go. We need to go get my keys.
And the light turned on.
I don't want to go.
Okay, well, I'm gonna literally record this whole thing just so you guys can see what happened. I'm literally so scared. Okay, okay, something. The bathroom light's on too.
What's this like? Bro, why are my keys on the floor? They were not there. Like, I dead put them on the desk. Like, oh my god.
This is literally insane.
If you look closely, a topping lid suddenly flies off the counter, like something physically knocked it away. And almost immediately after that, the lights they had just turned off began flickering again, as if something inside the darkness was moving through the store. This was the moment people stopped blaming electricity. Because faulty wiring can cause flickering, but it can't remove lids, it can't target objects, and it certainly can't create the feeling that something is active only when the building is empty. That detail became especially disturbing, the fact that all of this only ever happened at night. Some viewers began speculating that it could be what paranormal researchers call a residual spirit, energy left behind by someone who once spent a lot of time in that place. Residual hauntings often repeat certain behaviors, moving through familiar areas, making familiar sounds, sometimes even singing. Others believed it might be something more aware. And then came the moment that disturbed people the most. One night, while Nick was inside recording again, something happened that was impossible to ignore. Watch.
Okay guys, we've been sitting in the back for like 20 minutes now, and we're just watching the cameras and stuff is still flickering and going on, but nothing happened back here, and we need to go home, and this is so freaking terrifying.
We're 50 minutes past our shift because of this shit.
We closed at 10, so we need to like, it's so dark because all the light switches are over here.
Stop it, go, go.
Okay, this is what I mean. This room is over. This is.
Oh my god.
This is what we're dealing with.
Oh my god, yeah. What the? Bro, Nick, did you do this on purpose?
I-
Did you fake this? No, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, Nick.
Stop! You're literally. Are you?
No, wait, no. Nah.
No.
That's it, just-
We literally looked away for like 2
When you're
seconds.
walking, 'cause, like, what?
From the darkness, something is suddenly thrown in his direction, like something didn't want him there. Nick and his staff quickly left, shaken and trying to process what just happened. But seconds later, when they looked back, they saw the lights moving inside again. Some believe this could be what's known as a poltergeist, an entity known not just for appearing, but for interacting physically with the environment. Poltergeists are often associated with thrown objects, sudden movement, and escalating aggression. Unlike residual energy, they don't simply replay the past, they react, and sometimes they target. Others believe it could be something attached to the building itself, especially considering the abandoned store next door. Paranormal investigators often warn that empty spaces can sometimes become vessels, places where energy gathers without interruption. And then there's the singing, because one of the most unsettling signs reported in hauntings is disembodied singing. Familiar and human, but with no visible source. Many believe this is a way entities announce their presence, not loudly but subtly, but enough to be noticed and enough to be remembered. Until more updates are given, all anyone can do is speculate. But if you were standing there alone, hearing singing in an empty store, and watching things move on their own, what would you say you're dealing with? In this next video, a woman is in the middle of a live session, calmly recording herself and interacting with her audience when something deeply unsettling appears behind her. Take a look.
Hi guys, today I want to tell you about Did you see it too? Okay, so what was that? I'm scared.
At first, nothing seems out of the ordinary. But then, for a brief moment, the outline of what appears to be a man becomes visible in the mirror. Moments later, she steps out to check the area, but there's no one there. Nothing that explains who or what was reflected. Shortly after she returns, her door slowly opens on its own. Some viewers believe this points to a possible intruder or even a stalker, someone who may have been inside the home without her knowledge, staying quiet and out of sight. And honestly, that explanation carries its own kind of fear. The idea that someone could enter and leave without being noticed is deeply disturbing, but others question the way the door opens. There's no visible force behind it, just a slow, steady movement that doesn't seem tied to anyone physically present. Either way, both explanations leave the same unsettling question. Was someone in her home that night, or was it something else? In this next video, a well-known Turkish paranormal content creator who specializes in found footage style investigations travels deep into the Turkish countryside to a village long rumored to be inhabited by jinn. These abandoned settlements, known locally as Turkadilmiş Koylar, are often avoided entirely, their silence carrying stories no one wants to verify firsthand. His first stop is an abandoned house at the edge of the village. Normally, his investigations begin quietly. Minutes pass with nothing but the sound of wind and his own footsteps. But this place feels different from the start. Only seconds after stepping inside, something suddenly tries to attack him.
Ha şu. Buradan uçtu vallahi.
The object narrowly misses him, and at that moment, he and his friend immediately realize they're dealing with something far more active than expected. They leave the house quickly because whatever threw that object didn't miss by accident. And there's no guarantee the next one would, but their investigation is only beginning. They soon arrive at another location deeper within the village, a place known as Sin Ovasa, the Plain of Jinn. Even the name carries a warning. As he scans the ground with his flashlight, something unusual catches his attention. Lying in the dirt is a small wooden structure, a talisman.
Tehlikeli. Burada o. Ağaçtan geldi. Bu ağaçtan geldi. Gördünüz mü arkadaşlar?
It appears to have been thrown from the direction of a nearby tree. In Turkish folk magic, objects like this are often referred to as a muska or talisman. They are believed to serve as anchors, either to bind a curse to a location or to trap a jinn in a specific place. They are usually buried carefully, hidden from sight, because disturbing or removing them is said to release whatever they were meant to contain. As they move closer to investigate, a strange voice suddenly breaks the silence. Neither of them can identify where it's coming from, but it's close enough to send them running. After putting some distance between themselves and the tree, they stop and shine their flashlight back toward the spot where they heard the sound. And that's when they see it. A figure, standing motionless in the darkness, watching them. They didn't stay long enough to find out what it was, but before leaving the village entirely, they decided to investigate one final abandoned house. Except, this house didn't feel abandoned.
Oradan mı geliyor? Orada. İnsan kıran insan. İnsan, evet. İnsan. Hadi insan delidir. İnsan normal bir insan. İnsandır. İnsan gibi diye. Tam kapıdaydı Sinan. Tam kapıdaydı.
As they slowly move through the rooms, their flashlight catches something disturbing. A hand that appears briefly from behind a door. It looks human, solid, and real. But when they entered, no one was there. No open doors, no broken windows, and no possible exit. Whoever or whatever they saw had nowhere to go, and somehow it vanished anyway. To this day, what they encountered inside that house remains a mystery. Now, in this next clip, popular Midwest investigator, Midwest Ghost Hunter, continues his investigation in one of the most feared locations in the state of Indiana, the abandoned Blackford County Jail. Earlier in his investigation, Ian had already been driven out of the basement after rocks were thrown in his direction. Still unsettled, he moves upstairs toward the sheriff's quarters, searching for something specific. A pair of slippers that previous visitors claim appears and disappears without explanation. But as Ian stands near the staircase, scanning the quiet hallway, something suddenly comes flying down from above. Watch closely.
Who's behind the disappearing slipper? Because I'm not gonna lie, that's one of the strangest things I've ever heard. Are you a female spirit? What is your name? Did you once live here? Oh, what the? What the heck was that? Dude, something just hit me in the freaking head. What the heck was that? Whoa! What? Is that a ring? Oh my god. Dude, I just got hit in the head with a freaking ring. Oh shit, I dropped it. Where did it go? Where'd it go? I dropped it somewhere down here. Dude, what the heck? Like, who threw something at me? Something just hit me in the head. It was a ring.
An old, ornate ring comes flying down the stairs and strikes him directly on the back of the head. Ian searches the immediate area, checking the floor, the steps, and the surrounding space, but couldn't find it anywhere. Then, things escalate even further.
Okay, I'm genuinely lost. I don't know where this thing went. Dude, I just heard a woman. Okay, I'm going up. Alright, screw the ring. I'm going up here. Hello? Hello? I just heard somebody. Oh, dude, I almost fell. I just heard somebody up here. Hello? Ma'am? Did you throw a ring at me? It's okay. I'm not mad. I just want to know why. Why'd you throw it? What if it disappeared? No. That's crazy. There's no way. I physically had it in my hand.
A faint woman's voice can be heard somewhere inside the quarters. Ian freezes and tries to listen carefully, but there's no one else inside the building. No footsteps, no movement, just the voice. To this day, it's still unclear what threw the ring or who was speaking. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. This next clip is an update from the family that once opened their door after weeks of strange knocking. The same family whose life changed from odd disturbances to full-blown haunting. Now, just when they thought things might calm down, the activity has escalated, and it's getting worse, especially around the kitchen. Watch.
Padre Santo. Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad así en la tierra como en el cielo.
This isn't the soft, tentative knocking of before. This is aggressive, hard, demanding. It rattles the door's frame. It shakes the house. It doesn't stop after 1 or 2 knocks. It repeats, builds, as though whatever's on the other side has run out of patience and is desperate to get in. That alone raises a chilling question. They once opened the door, and after that, chaos followed. So why is there knocking again? Some believe when a spirit becomes comfortable with a house, it doesn't stay alone. It invites others. And those other presences tend to be far less patient, far more dangerous. With this kind of knocking, the thing behind the door could be far worse than what first showed up. Opening it may no longer just let in a curious specter, but something malevolent, something hungry. As desperate as this family must be, at this point, opening the door isn't an option. Not until they have a plan or someone powerful enough to handle what might come through. If you were them, what would you do now? Change house? Set up protection? Call professionals? Whatever their next move is, one thing is certain. What's behind that door may be beyond anything they've seen before, and until we get more footage, more answers, or some clarity, this remains a mystery. This next clip is also an update from a previous investigation where a team of ghost hunters explored an old property that once belonged to an elderly couple who passed away, leaving the home abandoned for years. For days they've been at the house, documenting everything from soft knocks echoing through the hallway to objects subtly shifting whenever no one was looking. At one point, if they reached out to pick something up, no matter whether it was a notebook, a candle, or even a cup, the table would suddenly start vibrating violently until they dropped the item, almost like the spirit was warning them, "Don't touch my things." Even then, the investigators didn't leave. They felt strongly that whatever was there wasn't aggressive, only protective. So they tried something different, something that would confirm whether a spirit was truly responding to them. Watch this.
Da, nu știu, punem jos acolo.
Aici în casă?
Mai aici, în spate, la tablou. Au pisare asta, nu știu, pe ceva.
Așa?
Da, nu contează.
Dar ce vrei să fac?
Hai să vezi acum șmecherii.
Explică-mi și mie.
Deci îl lăsăm bine Gheorghe aici, da? Bun. Acum. Închidem balconul. Eu am prins care-i fază, ca să știți.
Lasă-mă și mergem, poate murim noi, că măcar...
Mori, dar parcă n-ai mai murit.
Da, am murit, dar nu te mai am.
Oricare spirit te află aici, oricare entitate, oricare demon, oricare strigoi, prin puterea primordială, îți ordon să miști tabloul ăsta sau să-l dai jos sau...
Eu am nimeni.
Da? Deci ceva se lega. Nu mă sperii, nu rămân surprins. Fiindcă știam, eram sigur, 90% eram sigur că o să se întâmple chestia asta.
Adică când ne amândoi în balcon faci așa?
Da, fii atent. Păi așa că-l iau. Păi așa, mă. Am luat pe Nea Gheorghe și lăsăm aici.
Și acum ce se întâmplă? Din timp murim?
Băi, oricare spirit te afla aici, oricare entitate, oricare demon, oricare suflet neliniștit, prin puterea primordială îți ordon să miști. Am dracu să-mi Du-te, fă cu meciul tău, tragă meciul tău, l-o da jos să moară familia mea, l-o dau jos.
That moment was all the proof they needed, and after that, the house changed. The activity grew stronger. Watch.
Ia-l repede, ia-l.
O căzut singur. O căzut singur. Hai de pula mea. De pula mea.
Doamne, mi-am făcut cruci. Credeți-mă pe bunic, mi-am făcut cruci. E gata-i.
Îl ard în tămâie.
E gata-i, nu mai, e gata-i.
Îl ard în tămâie.
O dispărut, mâncați-l. Tu măi, Nea Gheorghe, măi.
Deschide-o cum stai așa.
Oricare spirit te află aici, ți ordon să faci ceea ce faci, să faci în fața camerei. Poți să-i jos, mă, acolo, rămas jos.
What came next sparked a completely different debate among viewers. Have a look.
Bun, Nea Gheorghe, dacă tot ești acolo lângă păpușa aia, poți un pic să o miști sau să o faci să meargă? Deci dacă se mișcă păpușa, am plecat acasă, vă zic de pe acum. Băga mea și pula în dracu să-mi bag. Gata, îmi bag pula în casa asta. Gata, fraților, v-am bat în casa asta. Ieși afară, băga mea și pula, nică ne moară.
The discovery of those dolls shifted the entire conversation. Many began questioning whether the spirit they'd been communicating with was truly tied to the house, or tied to the dolls themselves. In the paranormal world, dolls are known to hold attachments. Spirits sometimes cling to them, reside in them, or even use them as vessels when they can't anchor themselves anywhere else. So now, there were two theories. Either the spirit belonged to someone who once lived in the home, or the previous owners unknowingly brought home a doll that already carried an attachment. After seeing those dolls move the way they did, the team didn't need any more convincing. They packed up their equipment, left the property immediately, and made it very clear they had no intention of spending another night inside that house. Now in this next video, a guy named Kyle, who you might remember from several of our previous videos, is still dealing with the same thing that's been tormenting him for months. Knocking sounds that seem to move from room to room, always following him, always getting louder. But this time, he was finally able to trace one of those knocks directly to the basement, and he discovered something that left him more confused than ever. Take a look.
Gosh dang it, I'm hearing that knocking sound again. There it is. Where is it coming from? Right there, right there. It's coming from this door. That's where it's been coming from. Somebody's knocking on that, or something is knocking on this freaking door. But there's nobody there, obviously. Well, at least I now know where it's coming from.
Finding no one at the door, no footsteps, not even a shadow fleeing the scene, left him with only one conclusion. Whatever is knocking isn't human. And honestly, after everything Kyle has been through in that house, this shouldn't even be surprising anymore. Because remember, this is the same guy who woke up one night and caught a dark figure standing frozen inside his crawl space, unmoving, just staring straight ahead as if it had been waiting for him. The same guy who's heard children laughing in the middle of the night, even though he has no kids, seen things in his attic shift around on their own, and has documented footsteps pacing inside the walls, things falling in the garage, small objects getting pushed across the floor, and the worst one yet, his home camera once caught a figure standing quietly beside his bed while he slept, vanishing just seconds before he woke up. All these incidents, from the crawl space, to the attic, to the garage, to his bedroom, and now the basement, connect in one disturbing pattern. Whatever is in this house moves freely, watches him, and makes itself known whenever it wants to. So until Kyle drops more updates, this remains one of the hardest cases to decode. In the following video, a guy and his partner have been dealing with something extremely unsettling inside their home. For days now, they've been coming back from work to find their living room and kitchen completely out of place. Pillows on the floor, cabinets half open, small items thrown across the room, and once, an entire stack of folded laundry scattered across the hallway as if someone walked through it intentionally. One of them insisted it had to be the cat, but the other argued that it didn't make sense. The cat isn't strong enough to knock over half the things they found on the ground. So, to settle the argument once and for all, they installed cameras. Here's what the camera caught. This clearly shows the cat is innocent, but it also confirms something else entirely. The couple now has another presence in the house, one they never invited and one they don't understand. And after seeing that footage, their minds immediately shifted from who did this to what exactly are we living with and how dangerous can it be? So look closely at the clips to see if you can piece things together. Watch. After this second clip, people in the comments began forming their own theories. Many said the movement feels exactly like a child spirit, but it didn't only happen during the day. Watch this. Now, how do you explain a chair rocking on its own in the middle of the night, almost as if someone was sitting in it and pushing off the ground with their feet? That detail alone shifted the conversation. Some viewers pointed out that this kind of night activity usually means the spirit is fully comfortable, too comfortable. Others believe the chair movement ties directly to the mess during the day, suggesting the same presence is active around the clock. If it really is a child spirit, it might not even realize it's causing fear, just doing what kids do, playing, exploring, touching things that don't belong to them. But until more updates are shared, and until the couple figures out exactly what kind of presence they're dealing with, this case remains completely unsolved. Now, this next video captures something that genuinely shook a lot of viewers, because it happened while Rebecca was homeschooling her kids. Watch.
2 and 0. So it's asking you which intervals in which the y is increasing. Select all that apply. Okay, so now we have it. So we have here to here. So the first one, -6, okay? And then we have, then it goes down, down, down, down, down, up, and up. Okay, so we have -6 and 0.
At first glance, your mind wants to go with the simplest explanation, that the tree was already hanging by a thread. But according to Rebecca, the tree was still firmly attached to its base. No visible damage, no rot, nothing that looked like it was about to collapse. And then people who slowed the footage down began noticing something else. Something that made the entire situation feel way less natural. Several viewers claimed they saw a figure moving behind the tree just seconds before it began shaking on its own. So was it gravity, a rare coincidence, or something attempting to reveal itself through the only object it could manipulate? You decide. In this next clip, the popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian visited Bonanzaville, an open-air museum filled with preserved historic structures from different eras of North Dakota. There's the old haunted tavern where staff have reported glasses clinking on their own, the mansion's said to echo footsteps long after closing, and even a small church where a shadowy figure is often seen slipping between the pews. And of course, Ian decided to walk through all of it completely alone. He started his investigation inside the old train shed, an authentic 1930s passenger coach where visitors have sworn they've seen a phantom conductor pacing the aisle. But for Ian, that night, the train shed was calm. Where things shifted was the next building he stepped into, the telephone museum. Watch.
These phones are dead. They're not even on. I'm not even sure if you'd even be able to make calls with it right now. Could you move this? The rotary dial? Whoa, what the? Dude, that was a freaking straight up phone ringing in that room. Holy crap, that scared me. Did you just make one of the phones ring in that room? That was coming from that room over there. Oh God. Well, I suppose let's go answer it.
This museum has a long, unsettling history. Staff say the phones inside often ring on their own, connecting to other historical buildings across the property. But whenever someone picks up, it's only dead air. Others have reported seeing a ghostly woman drift through the aisles, appearing and disappearing between the old switchboards. So Ian, being Ian, decided to answer one of the ringing phones himself. Watch what happened.
Hello? Could you speak through this phone? Who called that phone earlier? Put my voice recorder up to it.
A faint whisper came through his recorder, and Ian couldn't tell whether the voice came through the phone or from somewhere else inside the room. Listen again. Some say the voice sounds like it's trying to speak directly to him. Others think it's the woman people claim to see in the building, but whether it's tied to the museum, the phones, or something else entirely, one thing is clear. Whatever haunts that building knew he was there. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following video was captured by a man named Vishite who says his workplace hasn't felt normal for a long time. What started as small, explainable things slowly turned into something he couldn't ignore. He began noticing shadows moving where nothing should be moving. Then came the physical encounters, scratches appearing on his skin while he was alone, the feeling of being pushed when no one was behind him. For a few weeks now, he has started hearing voices and seeing shadows move where nothing should be. Watch this.
And I'm gonna go outside. Hey. Come here. Alright, so bro, that's what I'm talking about. Nobody's in this back room, in the cave. And I'm closing up and I heard this. Nobody's in. See the cameras. Nobody's up in there. I think this door, the last time, there's nobody up in here. Like nobody.
Many believe this could be a mimic, something repeating his own voice back to him. Others focused on the shadow that appeared, suggesting something was physically there. Some even warned that entities known for mimicry often start with simple words, testing reactions, learning behavior, and getting closer over time. But things didn't stop there. When he posted another video, the situation became harder to explain. Watch.
Hey guys, so look, I'm hearing voices again. Yo, y'all heard that, right? Yo, man, I'm freaking out. Hello? Oh, no. No. That sounded like it was literally in my ear, dude. See, look, nobody is here. Nobody's here. Oh my god, dude, it sounded like something was behind me. Hello? Okay, I'm done with this. You need to leave. Oh my... Dude, you guys hear that, right? You guys hear it? I'm not tripping. I'm not tripping.
This time, the voice isn't subtle, it's aggressive. Words like die and you're dead are heard clearly enough to make out. Some viewers went further, suggesting it could be something far more dangerous, something like a skinwalker or even a demonic presence, especially considering his earlier experiences with being physically touched and scratched. Because when something is able to move objects, speak, and make physical contact, it suggests a level of strength and control that goes beyond imagination.
Oh, nope, I just got touched. Nope. Okay, so I'm here at work. Bro, I'm telling you, you heard that, right? I'm closing. And I'm like hearing stuff, bruh. I'm like closing right now, and I'm hearing, bruh, come on, man. Nobody's in here. I'm literally closing. Yo. I don't know what's going on with this thing, but it's been like really active here lately. Just wanted to show you guys. There's nobody in the store but me.
Moments like this are deeply unsettling. Imagine standing alone in a quiet building, already on edge, and suddenly feeling something touch you. Not imagining it or thinking it happened, but actually feeling it. Your brain immediately tries to rationalize it. Maybe it was your clothing, maybe your nerves. But deep down, you know when something touches you. And when it keeps happening, it changes how you exist in that space. Every corner becomes suspicious, and every shadow feels closer than it should be. At this point, viewers began warning him about something else: attention. Many believe that reacting emotionally, showing fear, or constantly focusing on whatever is happening can strengthen its presence. Some even say that fear itself can act like an invitation. But when you're alone and something speaks to you, touches you, and follows you, is staying calm even possible? Well, for Vicente, it's hard to just ignore it. After days of having the same thing happen to him at work, people advised him to confront it, and here's how that went.
Leave. Oh, go. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Get out of here. Oh. Leave. Shh. Ooh, dude, I'm hearing shit. No. Okay, you just go. Just get out. Leave. Oh, God damn it. Dude, I got touched by that thing. I'm just letting you go. There's nobody in the store. See, I'm telling you, I'm doing what you guys want, and then I'm hearing there's shit going on everywhere, dude. Man. Leave. You need to leave.
As he tells whatever's there to leave, something suddenly pushes him, and if something can touch you, it can reach you anytime it wants. Visite later revealed something even more unsettling. Other employees had experienced strange things too, hearing voices and feeling watched, but not as often as he has. Almost like whatever is there chose him specifically. A few weeks after his last post, things got worse.
I'm trying to lay down, and these damn lights won't stop going on and off. And I'm the only one here currently, and all my damn cabinets are open. And my remote for the lights are over there. And they just won't turn off. They just won't turn off. Yo, what the f is that?
Now, it wasn't just his workplace anymore. Cabinets he clearly remembered closing would be open, lights he turned off would turn back on, and he began hearing the same kinds of sounds inside his own home, the same presence, and the same feeling of not being alone. Many believe this could be attachment, when something connects itself to a person rather than a place. Others believe that by documenting it, speaking to it, and confronting it, he may have made himself more visible to it, reinforcing whatever connection had already begun. Because sometimes the moment something realizes you can hear it is the moment it stops hiding and starts getting closer. So what do you think Visite is really dealing with? And once something starts interacting with you like this, is it already too late to make it stop? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. In this next clip, Nate is still trying to understand what's happening inside his house, and at this point, it's no longer just the occasional strange moment. For weeks now, he's been hearing footsteps when no one else is home. Heavy walking sounds moving from one room to another, doors creaking open slowly, and sometimes even faint whispers late at night when the entire house should be silent. He's woken up to things in different positions than he left them, and there are moments when his dog refuses to enter certain parts of the house, staring into empty space like it sees something he can't. You know how terrifying it is to feel like your home, the one place that's supposed to be safe, is no longer fully yours. That's exactly how Nate feels. Watch this.
I'm literally hearing walking, like right next to me, and swore I heard a muffled voice. It was like I hope the camera's picking that up. I hope my phone is picking that up. What is that?
What you're hearing doesn't sound like the house settling. It sounds like something running back and forth with muffled voices, low, unclear, but definitely there. Some believe this could be what's known as a residual haunting, energy repeating the same actions over and over, but others believe it's something far more dangerous. The disturbing part is, it didn't stop. The stomping and pacing continued for weeks. Then one morning, while Nate was working out, he heard something else.
Hey guys, I'm hoping the phone picks this up. I was working out in here stomping. Right above me is my bedroom. I hope the phone is picking that up. It was so loud that I actually dropped the weight. God, I hope it's picking that up. Oh my God. What is that? I'm shaking right now. I don't know what the
Toward the end of the video, a voice can be heard saying, "You need me." Some believe statements like that suggest attachment, when whatever is present no longer sees itself as separate from the person, but connected to them, dependent on them, or worse, believing the person belongs to it. And what makes that idea so disturbing is what it implies. If it's attached to him, moving might not solve anything, distance might not matter because it wouldn't be staying in the house, it would be staying with him. Entities like this sometimes create dependency. They observe, they wait, and eventually they make their presence known in a way that makes the person feel chosen, not for comfort, but for control. And now, for the first time, Nate is seriously considering leaving his home. But after hearing those words, he's no longer sure if leaving is the right thing to do, because if something inside his house truly believes he needs it, it may never let him go. If you were in Nate's position, would you stay and try to understand it, or leave, knowing it might follow? Now in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian visits one of the most feared and talked about locations in Indiana, the Blackford County Jail, hoping to finally understand why so many unexplained incidents are still being reported there. This isn't just another abandoned building, this jail has a long and disturbing history, and many who've entered its lower levels say the basement feels different from the rest of the structure. Heavier, oppressive, like something is still occupying that space. But what makes this visit different is the specific reason Ian went down there. For years, people have reported sightings of what they describe as a little person moving in the basement. Not a shadow, not a vague shape, but something physical, small, and fast. Some believe it's the spirit of a former inmate trapped and unable to leave, but others strongly disagree. They claim what's down there isn't paranormal at all. They believe it's something alive that hides and watches. Watch.
Is there anybody down here? They say that this hole is a portal that spirits can enter. If this is indeed a portal to the spirit world, could you come up out of that hole? Float upward towards me. Little person? Are you down here? Are there any prisoners down here? This is where they kept the worst of the worst. Oh!
After hearing that sound, Ian immediately freezes. It isn't the kind of noise old buildings usually make, and it doesn't sound like wood settling or pipes shifting. He stands there, listening carefully, trying to determine where it came from. But the silence that follows is almost worse. Going down there alone didn't sound like a good idea, especially knowing the stories. So instead, Ian decided to wait, hoping to catch even the slightest movement that could explain what he just heard. And then, after a while, he sees this.
Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa, what did I just see? What did I just see? I just seen something on the ground. Holy crap. It didn't look like a person though.
For a brief moment, something appears small and low to the ground. It moves quickly enough to avoid being clearly identified, but it's there, and it wasn't his imagination. Some viewers believe this could be the little person witnesses have been describing for years, a spirit manifesting in physical form. Others believe something far more disturbing, that there may actually be a living presence hiding beneath the jail, something that has adapted to the darkness, something that knows how to avoid being seen. At this point, Ian has a choice. He can leave knowing he's already captured something unexplained, or he can go further into the one place everyone warned him about. But Ian didn't come all this way to turn back now. Determined to finally uncover the truth, he slowly makes his way deeper into the basement, stepping toward the exact area where the figure had appeared only moments earlier, his light scanning the darkness while the silence around him feels heavier than before, like something is waiting for him to make the next move. Watch.
Oh God. Oh my God. It is so scary down here. Oh. I don't see anything over here. Creepy crawl space. Oh. I am not going in there. No. Little person. Are you in there? Oh, dude, what if it snatches my arm? Okay. I hear you. He's gotta be down here. Oh. Rock just got thrown at me. Oh.
Suddenly, rocks are thrown in his direction, and the timing makes it impossible to ignore because it happens right as he gets closer, almost like a direct response to his presence, like a warning meant to stop him from going any further. And that realization alone is enough to make him think that he may not be alone in that basement after all. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following clip centers on a couple who, for weeks now, have been dealing with something that has steadily disrupted their peace. Something persistent enough that they no longer see it as random, but as connected to a specific event they can't ignore. A few weeks earlier, the husband's twin brother passed away, and according to them, that's when everything began. Since then, there have been repeated attempts, something knocking, something trying to open the door at odd hours, always when the house is quiet, always when it feels most unsettling. Not once or twice, but often enough to form a pattern that's hard to dismiss. Watch. Before leaving the house one day, the husband made sure to install a secure key system, and it wasn't just for general safety. He had two very specific reasons. The first was obvious. The constant knocking and attempts at the door had already made it clear that something or someone was trying to get in, and he didn't want to take any chances. But the second reason is where things become more concerning. He didn't want his wife to feel pressured to open the door. Because in situations like this, especially when the disturbances are persistent and timed, there's always that moment of doubt, that moment where curiosity or fear pushes someone to respond. And he understood that if she ever gave in and opened that door, whatever was behind it might not just be something that leaves afterward. In this next video, a man named Jorge shares the ongoing situation he's been dealing with, one that didn't start all at once, but slowly built up over time, beginning with small, almost dismissible details, objects slightly out of place, shadows that didn't quite make sense, and that constant, uneasy feeling of not being alone, even when the house was empty. But what started off subtle didn't stay that way. The activity grew more intense, more frequent, to the point where he made the decision not to let his young daughter stay in the house with him anymore, because whatever was happening no longer felt harmless or ignorable. Things became even more disturbing when the experiences followed him into his sleep. But it wasn't just the dreams, it was what the camera captured while he was asleep that people can't get past. Watch.
Get away. Get away. Get away from me. Help. He's also attacking me. I need help, someone. Help! Help! I'm trapped. I'm trapped. Got me out. I need help. I'll be her hostage. This is my family. Don't take my family. Take me instead. Let them go.
First, the cross shifts and turns upside down. Then, on the curtain, a figure becomes visible, faint but distinct enough to notice, with what appears to be white eyes reflecting through the fabric. And if you look even closer, there's another detail that many viewers pointed out. On the left side of the mirror, what looks like a face, pale, but present enough to stand out once you see it. Alongside all of this, there are sounds. Something that resembles laughter, low, distorted, and difficult to fully make out. Some believe it carries a pattern, almost like words trying to form, while others describe it as something far more unsettling, something that doesn't sound human at all, a demon. At the same time, Jorge describes the dreams he's been having, not random, not scattered, but consistent, where he finds himself unable to move, surrounded by figures that hold him down, repeatedly telling him that they're not gonna let him go. Sleep, for him, stopped being rest. It became something to fear, but even being awake didn't bring relief. Watch.
Sí, underground, estamos aquí, bien potreados. Y a tu gata póngale candado, que tú sabes que esto es demasiado, no es culpa mía. Si la gata tuya quiere perrear, no es culpa mía. Así que muévelo duro, muévelo duro, muévelo. Oh no! Pum pum pum pum pum pum pum pum pum. Oh, something. It felt cold for a second.
While doing simple chores, headphones on, trying to distract himself with music, something happens that pulls him right back into it. The garbage falls, not slowly, not naturally, but in a way that suggests force, like it was pushed rather than dropped. And then came what he describes as one of the most terrifying nights he's experienced, Christmas night. A time most associate with calm, family, and celebration, but for Jorge, it became something else entirely. Right before going to bed, this happened. Watch.
Yo, I swear to God, there was like some... Shit! Fuck, what the f is that? What the f is that? You gotta be kidding me! Who goes there? Who goes there? That shit cannot be real. What the f? You gotta be kidding me. What the f was that? You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be messing with me. I swear to God, this gotta be a fucking joke. Whoever's in here, I command you to leave in the name of Jesus Christ. I ask you to leave now. Oh, I got adrenaline going right through my body. What the f is that? Ah, shit! Ah! Shit! What the f? Who goes there? You gotta be f kidding me. Wasn't this shit close? Oh, f. Oh, shit. What the f is that? Guys, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, shit! What's that thing? Oh, I'm getting a headache badly. I'm getting a headache badly. Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! You gotta be kidding me! Oh, shit! No!
It was after sharing that footage that he revealed something even more concerning. This wasn't the first house where he experienced things like this. In his previous home, there had been similar incidents, unexplained, persistent, and now it feels like whatever he was dealing with didn't stay behind, it followed him. And that possibility changes everything, because it suggests this might not be tied to a location, but to him. But what it is, why it's there, and what it wants are questions he still hasn't been able to answer. This next video follows Rosanna Darkcha, a TikToker whose recordings from her apartment in France have unsettled a huge number of viewers, not because of one isolated incident, but because of how consistent and widespread the activity appears to be throughout her home. From shadows said to move through her corridors around 3 a.m. to strange chanting-like sounds coming from enclosed spaces like the bathroom, Rosanna has been documenting what many believe resembles ongoing poltergeist activity, something that doesn't stay in one place and doesn't seem to follow a predictable pattern. One night, when her kids were away at her mother's house, something happened that pushed things even further. Watch. she begins to hear the voice of her daughter calling out to her. Naturally, she follows the sound, expecting to find nothing, knowing her children aren't home, but what she walks into is far from normal. A radio is playing on its own, despite not being plugged in, with no cassette inside, no visible source of power. At the same time, drawers begin opening by themselves, one after another, like something is moving through the room, interacting with objects deliberately, and the activity doesn't stay contained. If it's not happening in the children's toy room, it shifts to the bathroom. If not the bathroom, then the study. It's as if whatever is behind it isn't confined to one space, but moves freely throughout the apartment. Watch. Books fall from the shelf without warning. The passage light flickers on and off. And then, in the middle of it all, she describes feeling something wrap around her throat, like hands tightening, even though there is no one there. Moments like that are difficult to rationalize because they move beyond objects and sounds into something physical, something that suggests direct interaction. Some viewers believe this aligns with classic poltergeist behavior, chaotic, mobile, and increasingly aggressive over time. Others argue that the scale and intensity of the events raise questions about authenticity, suggesting it could be an elaborate digital production designed to appear real. But what keeps people watching is the consistency, the way the activity spans different rooms, different moments, and different types of disturbances, all captured and shared over time. So what do you think? Are we looking at one of the most convincing paranormal cases in recent years, or something carefully constructed to feel exactly like one? You decide. Now in this next video, there have been rumors circulating around a quiet community for some time, stories people share cautiously, often lowering their voices, about something that moves through the streets at night, something that doesn't stay in one place, but passes by houses, slowly, deliberately, and in some cases is said to stop just long enough to peer through windows before disappearing again. Most people brushed it off at first until more than one person started describing the same thing. One night, a man returning from his night shift experienced something he couldn't explain, something that turned those rumors into something much harder to ignore. He was already close to his house, going about something as ordinary as packing his clothes on the hanger outside so he wouldn't have to rush the next morning, when he noticed a figure. What makes this moment unsettling isn't just the sighting itself, but the way it fits into what others in the area have been quietly saying. Because after he showed the footage to his neighbors, several of them claimed they had seen something similar before. Something appearing briefly outside windows, something watching, but never staying long enough to be fully confronted. And that's where the speculation begins. Some believe it could be tied to something older, something connected to the history of the area, suggesting that if multiple people are seeing the same figure in different places, it may not be moving in a normal physical way at all. The idea that it peeks through windows is what unsettles people the most, because it suggests curiosity, awareness, and possibly intent. Now, some residents have started looking into the past of the area, trying to find out if anything happened years ago, if someone once lived there, or passed under circumstances that were never fully resolved. But until something concrete is uncovered, and until there's a clear explanation for what's being seen, this remains a mystery. In the following video, another family shares an experience that didn't happen just once, but repeated itself over months, slowly turning what could have been dismissed as coincidence into something far more unsettling. They began noticing figures appearing at their door, faint shapes visible through the curtain, standing there as if waiting. At the same time, their doorbell would ring at odd hours, times when no one should reasonably be visiting, and every time they checked, no one was there. It kept happening again and again, until one day, they finally caught something on camera. Have a look.
Mira, ¿está moviendo ahí? Mira, ahí. Aquí hay algo. Mira, si hay alguien en la terraza. No hay nadie. Ya se fue.
Through the curtain, a figure is clearly visible, but the moment they react, pulling the curtain open to confront whoever or whatever is standing there, there's nothing. At first, it's easy to think it could be something external, maybe a tree, a passing shadow, something creating an illusion against the fabric. But that explanation becomes harder to hold on to the moment the figure appears to move. This raises a broader concern, one that many people overlook. The idea that whatever moves through streets, through quiet neighborhoods at night, may not always pass by without interaction. And that's why some believe it's important to be careful, to be aware, to protect your space in whatever way you believe is right, because in situations like this, the line between outside and inside becomes more significant than it seems. Because the moment you open your door, you want to be certain you're not opening it to unseen spirits, or something far worse. The following video dates back to 2016, when a lady was 9 years old, spending time at home with her cousin, doing what most kids do, playing around, recording random moments, and not thinking too much about what might be happening in the background. Years later, after strange things in the house began to resurface, unexplained sounds, subtle movements, and that persistent feeling that something wasn't quite right, she decided to go back and review old footage, hoping they might have missed something back then. And that's when she found this. Watch closely.
Dude, what the heck, man? Who are you? Hello? What was that? Did you guys see that? Vines. Come on. Come here. Hello from the other side. Walking really funny. At least I got that on camera. Bye.
First, an unusual light appears. It's brief, easy to miss, but clearly there. And then, something else. A figure. When she reviewed the clip again as an adult, she said the shape looked like a baby figure. Small, low to the ground, and oddly formed. But once the video was shared, people had very different interpretations. Some were convinced it didn't look like a child at all. They believed it looked like a demonic figure. Others made a different comparison entirely, saying it resembled Pennywise. For context, Pennywise is a fictional entity from It by Stephen King. often portrayed as a shape-shifting being that commonly appears as a clown to lure children, but is actually something far more sinister beneath the surface. It's known for taking forms that feel familiar, yet deeply unsettling, and that comparison only made the clip more disturbing for viewers, because if something in that video really did resemble a child, then it becomes harder to explain. In this next video, a bus driver who had been working late shifts for years shares something that completely changed the way he viewed those quiet, empty routes at night, especially because he was used to long hours, isolated roads, and the kind of silence that most people would already find unsettling, yet had never experienced anything he couldn't logically explain until this particular night. After completing his final stop, he did what he always does, checking through his rearview mirror carefully to make sure every passenger had gotten off, scanning each row from front to back until he was certain the bus was completely empty. And once he confirmed there was no one left, he began the drive back to the station, already thinking about heading home to his family after a long day. For a while, everything felt normal. The road quiet, the bus steady, nothing out of place. And then, this happened. Watch. While he is driving, with absolutely no passengers on board, a voice suddenly echoes from inside the bus, loud enough to be clearly heard, saying, "I'm getting off here." But when he checks again, there is no one there. Some believe this could be a case where a past moment somehow imprints itself onto a place and replays under certain conditions, especially in environments like buses that carry countless people and experiences over time. But until more clips are shared, this one remains unsolved. Now, this next video was recorded by David, a name some of you might already recognize, especially if you've been following the channel for a while. For those who don't know, David once brought home a doll, something that seemed harmless at first, maybe even interesting because of its age and appearance, but not long after, he realized it was the biggest mistake of his life. His nights became restless, filled with strange figures appearing in his room, fleeting shapes that never stayed long enough to fully understand, and a voice that would wail in the dark, sometimes calling out different names, none of which he recognized. It got so intense that he eventually locked the doll inside a cage, placing a Bible and rosary on top of it, hoping it would contain whatever was attached to it. But even that didn't stop it. One night, after falling asleep, he had a nightmare so vivid it forced him awake. And when he opened his eyes, he saw this. Watch.
Tenía una pesadilla y despierto. ¿Por qué me estás jodiendo a cada rato? ¿Qué quieres? No entiendo qué es lo que... Ese, el quemado. Ese. Y no sé si escucharon lo que... No entendí muy bien. Pero... algo se escuchó. ¡Ah! Ahora sí sentí mucha adrenalina. Se desenfoca. No sé qué gana. Estoy escuchando música aquí de relajamiento. O sea, estaba durmiendo. Ya son las, ¿qué? 4:51 de la mañana. No entiendo. No entiendo. En serio, ya no sé qué hacer. Alexa, luz del cuarto blanco frío. move. Joder.
According to David, this isn't something he's seen once. He claims that same face appears to him almost every night, but the moment he switches on the light, it's gone. No movement toward the door, no sound of footsteps, and no space under the bed large enough for anything to hide. Now, did the doll bring something into his life? Or did it simply reveal something that was already waiting? You decide. The following video was recorded by a CCTV camera inside a man's home, capturing something that only came to his attention after he'd already left the house for the evening. He had stepped out briefly with his nephew, who was visiting for the holidays, and everything seemed completely normal at the time. The house locked, quiet, and empty, just the way he left it. But on their way back, he received a notification from his security system, the kind that usually signals movement or unexpected activity inside the house. At first, he assumed it was nothing serious, maybe a minor glitch or something small triggering the sensor, but when he opened the footage to check, he saw this.
D. Front. Door. Center. Center is open. Disarm now. Disarm now.
After he shared the video, a lot of people were quick to dismiss it, suggesting that someone must have been inside the house, that the whole thing was staged, or that it was simply a person checking the room before entering. But that explanation raises its own questions, because if it were a person, why do the eyes reflect like that? I'll let you be the judge on this. In this next clip, a man shares an experience that began in the most ordinary way. Something as simple as going downstairs in the middle of the night to get a glass of water, a routine that should have taken only a few minutes, quiet, uneventful, and easily forgotten by morning. But as he made his way through the house, he started hearing something unusual. A voice, faint at first, almost blending into the silence, but clear enough that he knew it wasn't just his imagination. It didn't sound like a television or a phone left playing somewhere, and it definitely didn't sound like something coming from outside. It sounded inside the house. Curious, but uneasy, he decided to trace where it was coming from, slowly moving toward the direction of the sound, trying to make sense of it. And then, he saw a strange figure. Startled, he immediately ran back upstairs, his first instinct not just to get away, but to record it, especially because he had already brought in someone to bless the house before moving in, sensing from the beginning that something about the place didn't feel right. Watch closely.
Entonces pues sí me despertaron y me dio sed. Entonces bajé por un vaso de agua y me regresé corriendo. Quiero que vean esto. A ver si todavía está ahí. Es que siempre que les quiero mostrar algo, parece que desaparece para hacerme quedar mal. No, sí, sigue ahí. No sé si se esté viendo. Hay algo ahí parado. Y está altísimo. No sé qué es. Perdón con la luz, es que mi perro se está atravesando. Y si lo suelto, va y le ladra y me da miedo que vaya a pasar algo. Ay Dios, ahí se ve mejor, pero se ve más feo. Ya, deja de moverte. Perdónenme. ¿Hola? What?
Some believe it could be tied to the house itself, something that was already there long before he moved in, and that the blessing may not have fully removed whatever presence remains. There's also the idea that shadows like this are not just random appearances, but deliberate observations, something watching, learning the layout, understanding the person living there. Until more updates are shared, this one remains unsolved. Now, this next clip was recorded by a family's security system, something they originally installed both inside and outside the house for a very practical reason. They foster dogs, and with multiple animals moving in and out over time, they needed a reliable way to monitor activity, keep track of movement, and make sure everything stayed under control, even when they weren't actively watching. For a long time, the cameras only ever captured what they expected. Dogs wandering around, the usual sounds of a busy home, nothing out of the ordinary. But over the past month, something else started appearing, something that doesn't move like a dog and doesn't resemble any adult living in the house either. Have a look.
Alright, so break it down again. Where is it? There's the arm.
Arm, leg. There's gonna be another leg walking here.
You see it go over the snow.
Arm, leg, then another leg.
So if that's a leg, what's that? Is that the baby with somebody?
At the moment, they don't believe it's anything dangerous. In their view, with the number of dogs constantly in the house, any real threat, especially something physical, would have triggered a reaction. Dogs are known for their sensitivity to unfamiliar presence, and if something was truly there, they assume the animals would have barked, reacted, or shown signs of distress. But that assumption is exactly what unsettles some viewers. Some theories suggest that certain entities don't register as physical threats, meaning they can exist within a space without triggering the usual instincts in animals. Others believe that if something is subtle enough, it can move through an environment without drawing attention. And then there's a more unsettling possibility that whatever the camera is picking up is already familiar with the space. Familiar enough not to disturb the dogs, and familiar enough to move without being challenged. What do you think about this? Or are there some other reasons we're not seeing? The following video was captured by a CCTV camera at Ronald's workplace, a location that, according to several employees, had already been the subject of quiet conversations long before this footage ever surfaced, with workers occasionally mentioning glimpses of black shapes passing through hallways, reflections that didn't match anyone present, and that lingering feeling of being watched even in areas covered by cameras. But it wasn't until this clip went viral that those concerns became impossible to ignore, with many employees reportedly pressuring management to take action, convinced that whatever had been dismissed as imagination was now clearly visible on camera. Watch closely.
Ang lakas kasi nung kalabog niya. Ayun, pumunta ka na yan. Pasan ba ito? Kaya nakakit na ako, dito ako. Punta na ako doon. Sa baba ako dumaan eh. Nakalaki nga yung bukas na. Sasara niya ng bigla yan kasi gano'n ba? Dala yung mga sakit na yan. Eh nako, kita mo ako paano sa marang dito? Ay, hindi. Apakayumaga. Eh, kapal niya na. Okay, ang lakas nun sa kanya, no?
dark shapes move through the space, and some viewers believe it's actually one shadow, moving so quickly and unpredictably that it creates the illusion of multiple figures. Others are convinced it's something far more unsettling, that these are multiple shadows, different entities moving within the same space, overlapping, crossing paths, each one existing independently. You be the judge. In the following clip, a family's home security camera captures something they never expected involving their young son, who is autistic and extremely sensitive to changes in his environment. His parents explain that he's very routine-oriented and easily distressed by anything being out of place, especially at night. One night, while the entire household was asleep, they suddenly heard their son screaming in terror. Watch. Imagine waking up around 1 a.m. to your autistic son crying, insisting that the elf on the shelf had moved on its own. For those unfamiliar, Elf on the Shelf is a popular holiday tradition where parents move a small elf figurine around the house each night to make it appear as though it's watching children's behavior for Santa. The rule is simple: the elf only moves when no one is watching. But in this case, no one was touching it when it moved. What makes this more unsettling is that the child was genuinely terrified, not confused or playful. Some viewers believe the stress of the tradition itself can cause children, especially those with sensory sensitivities, to panic when something appears different. Others point out that Elf on the Shelf has long been tied to darker folklore, small watching figures, silent observers, and objects believed to invite unwanted attention into a home. A few even argue that objects meant to watch children, even symbolically, can create fear-based expectations that manifest in disturbing ways. Whether this was a misunderstanding, a moment of heightened fear, or something far more unsettling, one thing is certain: the family hasn't been able to look at that elf the same way since. But what do you think happened here? Now, this next clip is an update from a previous video about a family who went to check out an apartment they were considering renting. At first, everything seemed normal, until just minutes after stepping inside, an unidentified voice was suddenly heard whispering the word Jadis. At the time, many viewers believed it could have been interference, audio distortion, or even someone outside the apartment. But something about the voice didn't sit right. After that video gained attention, the woman went back through the footage she recorded inside the apartment, and that's when she noticed something else she completely missed before. Watch closely.
Oh my god.
Just like the previous video, another voice can be heard. This time, some people swear they hear it saying, "Don't buy," almost like a warning. Others hear what sounds like a young boy softly saying, "Hello, Mum," while a different group of viewers are convinced the voice is saying, "Grandpa." What makes this unsettling is how common whispers are in reports tied to supposedly empty homes. Paranormal researchers often say whispered voices are one of the earliest signs of a presence, especially in places with emotional residue, homes where someone may have lived, passed away, or never fully moved on. Unlike loud noises, whispers are believed to be intentional, subtle, and directed, meant to be heard by specific people rather than caught accidentally. The first clip left many viewers deeply concerned, questioning whether the family went through with renting the apartment. But later, she confirmed that they didn't. And judging by what was captured on camera, many believe that decision may have spared them from something far more unsettling, whether the voices were warning them away or trying to make contact. This apartment clearly isn't as empty as it appears. In this next video, a woman who's been experiencing strange activity in her home finally manages to capture something on camera. For a while now, she's claimed to see dark figures appearing briefly in different parts of the house, always just out of full view, always gone the moment she looks directly at them. One evening, while she was home alone, she stepped out of her bathroom and noticed something unusual. Watch closely.
I hear a woman humming. What the hell? Where is that coming from? Look, Xavier hears it too. Hold on. You heard it too, huh?
As she walks out of the bathroom, she catches sight of something black moving. At first, she assumes it's just a shadow or her eyes adjusting to the lighting, but when she turns her head, the shape is still there, a dark, human-like figure peeping before vanishing moments later. Many viewers believe this could be what's commonly referred to as a shadow figure, entities often described as pitch-black silhouettes that appear briefly and disappear without a trace. Others think it could be tied to stress, fatigue, or the brain misinterpreting familiar spaces, especially when someone is alone and alert. But some point out that seeing a figure clearly enough to turn and face it suggests something more than imagination. Whether this was a shadow entity, residual energy, or something her mind can't explain yet, one thing is certain: whatever she saw felt real enough to leave her shaken. But Stego you think she's dealing with?